There are those that just want to be left alone, and those that just won't leave them alone. Which one are you? The Ernest Hancock Show.
For here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, Phoenix, Arizona, from the beautiful farm of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com. We have Dana Frank on. She's a history professor at the University of California in Santa Cruz, helping us understand Honduras. You know, I like having people on from a progressive standpoint, not because I like to argue with them. It's because I think we share a lot of the same goals. A lot of the audience knows, Dana, that, you know, I had a radio show for quite a while on the Air America affiliate here as their token libertarian here in Phoenix. And what happened was I'm dealing with a lot of the audience, and we had a very clear understanding. We wanted the same things. It's just a different way of going at it. And the first impulse has always been, we want the government, that they're putting a gun to our head and taking our tax money, we want them to be nicer to us. We want them to do something for us. We want them. And you already lost the battle, in my opinion, when you already have ceded some type of control over your life to something or somebody else. In the last hour, we had Brad Friedman from Brad Blog, and you may know of his work in election fraud and so on. He and I overlapped over many years. We were very involved in that. And I've come to the realization over time that the battle is inside our own minds. And it's where we come to the conclusion that, you know, we are autonomous, beautiful individuals that deserve our own freedom. Once that happens, you change the world. And that is what we advocate. People in Honduras, in the Middle East, in Latin America, South America, and certainly here in North America. And I want to make sure that you understand that we may have the same goal. We're just trying to find a common solution. And some of your solutions is there's something going on in Washington now that you want to encourage people to participate in. What's going on?
Well, the thing we don't want to participate in is U.S. military funding for this repressive regime in Honduras. So, there actually are, I am never in my life was one of these people that calls Congress. But now, in order to support my friends not being killed in Honduras, I'm doing something that they ask, which is trying to pressure Congress not to fund the military in Honduras. So if you people want something to do, and maybe you're not these kind of people, but if you want to, you can call your congressperson, whoever it is, and say, please support the James McGovern Dear Colleague letter cutting U.S. military aid to Honduras. The deadline is the 25th. We've got at least 30 congresspeople saying cut U.S. military aid to Honduras. We're trying to put pressure on Hillary Clinton and Obama and their incredible hideous support for this repressive regime. Now, maybe people think it's a waste of time to call in Congress, and I used to be one of those people, but I think one phone call, we're just trying to find some way to find leverage on this really outrageous support by the Obama administration and Hillary Clinton for the coup regime, the ongoing coup regime in Honduras.
Let me tell you something that's going in your favor right now. I just, I said in the break, while we were just talking right now, I pulled up CIA, the World Fact Book on different countries and so on, and I made a big stinking deal about what was happening in the Middle East because of the median ages. Here in Arizona, in America, it's like 37% of the people are 14 years of age and younger. Okay, yeah, median age is like 36, and you have, it's older. We're a lot older society, 16 or something % over 65. In Egypt, I'm going, here's like, it's 32.7% or 14 or younger. They're not going to be able to get away from that demographic. Only if, 5-6% are over 65. And so I look at Honduras, and I said, let's go ahead and look at Honduras. And wow, 37% of the people in Honduras are 14 years or younger, and only 3.8% are over 65. Their median age is 21 years of age. The median age in Honduras, 21. And I'm going, how in the heck can you escape that demographic? The youth, the generation next, are going to inherit this planet, and certainly Honduras. How can we help get the message to that? We got a bunch of DVDs we can send you in Spanish. We got, Philosophy of Liberty. We got all kinds of artwork and stuff. The love evolution. It's all about the love, and it's in Spanish. And here you go. Go send to Honduras. I'll be more than happy to give you free. Here's a whole bunch of but I'll tell you what the philosophy is going to be. You own yourself. Are you willing to take on the risk of an entire generation that just, hey, I own myself. We're done.
Well, in case people think, oh, gee, they're having too many babies, the Honduran birth rate is actually not that high, and it's dropping. Some of this, a lot of it's low is because people are just dying because the health care is so terrible because it's so poor. I think these people know how to own themselves. They have very strong opinions about how their society should be organized, and they are blocked in ways of expressing that by this military government blocked by our U.S. By the U.S. I think before we send them DVDs in Spanish or any language, we should be pressuring our own government to stop funding the military of Honduras to repress these people so they have the space to have the sovereignty to figure out how they want to govern themselves. I don't think that's our choice. That should be their choice. That's why I think if you could do one thing, call your congressperson and say, support the McGovern Dear Colleague letter stopping U.S. funding for the military regime in Honduras. You don't have to be an expert. It's just a scared intern answering the phone. They won't ask you any questions.
Or support Ron Paul for president.
You can say whatever you want the rest of the time.
He'll stop all foreign aid.
Just say, please sign a Dear Colleague letter from Congressman McGovern cutting foreign aid to military aid to Honduras. They need to know that we don't want that this is not where we want our money to go. Now, that congressperson may not do what we want. Most of the time they don't. But this is one specific thing that there is actually something of a groundswell right now in the country about cutting this military aid.
Well, Dana,
can I just say that thank you for having me on the show, because this story is not being covered in the U.S. media. We know the corporate control of the U.S. media. It's even worse in Honduras. And why is it that you are not reading in your paper about the tear gassing of nonviolent demonstrations on Honduras day after day in Honduras in the last 2 months, paid for by U.S. military funding?
Because it's paid for by U.S. Because American interest, whatever the heck that means, some corporation that's got a lobbyist in Washington, they benefit from this. This is not a secret. And that's why it's so important that people start to understand that, one, immediately I don't lose the philosophical battle by advocating that somebody rules me just better. And then you have the same philosophical battle going on here. That's what this whole Levolution Ron Paul thing was all about, is that why are we putting guns to my forehead to take my money to, from poor people in this country to send it to rich people in poor countries? I mean, why?
Yeah,
why?
Well put.
This is not new. So that's where we have, I'll tell you, Dana.
Well, plenty of it goes to the rich people in our country. That's really where it ends up.
Well, of course, they glean their cut.
And the rich are getting richer in the United States every decade since the 1970s.
That is so much of a straw man. I don't care. Be rich as whatever the heck you want, as long as you didn't use the force of government to prevent me from competing with you, to prevent me from getting some license so I can compete with you, to prevent me from, being able to have a business and do and get and be and not have to buy yours, or not have some government contract or somebody that forced me to take my money to pay for your scanner at the airport so you can make money and I lose my freedom. I mean, it's so fundamental, basic to freedom. All of these problems that I hear from a lot of people that have their heart in the right place, such as yourself, they're missing the whole real fundamental problem of how we got here. It was too much government. Stop. And to think that you're going to get them to be nice. We're going to, as long as if we asked really nicely, maybe I'm like, no, I don't think so. That's not working out. So maybe you don't have to be mean. Just stop giving your money. Well, that's what's happening. So the economy goes. So what do? They just keep printing more money with the Federal Reserve. And now the inflation of the money supply makes everything more expensive. Let's talk about that for a second. In Honduras, I would imagine that they're going hungry because food has doubled in price in the last 6 months or something.
Well, absolutely. And, I think we disagree about what some of the good things that government can do. But under the government of President Zelaya, the guy who was deposed, they actually did have some controls on prices so that that people wouldn't starve to death, and they also raised the minimum wage so that people wouldn't starve to death. And
see,
now people are, so the question is, what are you going to do about it?
Might as well give them food stamps then, right?
Okay, look, I think we disagree. I think the government can do some good things. And, the vets want that surgery in the vets hospital, but they may not want government-funded health care.
I'm glad you're there, Dana, and I'm glad you gave us some perspective on the ground there.
Thanks a lot for having me.
No, it's been a pleasure, and I'm sure we'll have you again. You got some great breaking news. Please let Sierra know that you have some new news on it, because you're probably the third, fourth guest we've had on Honduras, because I understand what's going on in the Middle East is happening right here for the same reasons in the same way, and it's just the same thing right south of the border. So I'm going.
Thanks a lot.
My pleasure. Dana Frank, history professor, University of California, Santa Cruz. Well, wow, we keep bringing you, the different perspectives, but it's also about us infecting them just a little bit up here because they share too. Put a little doubt in this government saving thing. It's all good. See you tomorrow. Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided the information that detail the real news between the lines of propaganda about government policies and the true relationship we all have with coercive governments. Learn the true condition of our economy, innovations and technological breakthroughs in energy, health, computer science, and space travel. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media, the media that is so last century. Corporate media has evolved into nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but we now have a fantastic alternative. FreedomsPhoenix.com provides constant news updates on the issues that affect our lives in the most important ways. Our liberty and our property are under constant attack, and FreedomsPhoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda while encouraging the participation of our readers. Join us at FreedomsPhoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. FreedomsPhoenix.com, where the revolution between the ears has already matured.